everybody, thank you so much for your patience. It's been a bit of a hectic morning in my life, culminated by the fact that I went to set up for this project and I realized that I haven't practiced this since I made the sample, which was 2 weeks ago, because of course my air conditioning woes, which everyone was aware of from last week. And so, yeah, I'm sitting here going, wait a minute. Do I remember how to do this knot? And right now my brain is kind of having some issues with it. I think my brain is just kind of having some issues with a number of things this week. It is I swear it's for Mercury being out of retrograde. It's like been the most Mercury retrograde-y 2 weeks for a non-Mercury retrograde that I've ever had. Okay, so here's the thing. All right, here's the pattern of this knot. So we're kind of backing into this tutorial at the moment because, like I said, I'm reminding my brain how to do this knot. So let's just go ahead and hey, it's not a live merchandise sale. That was last night. It was really fun. There was talk about decorating. It was great. But okay, so for those of you who've been waiting patiently for me to start this tutorial, and those of you who are just joining us, all right, so I'm kind of backing into this tutorial because I 100% forgot how to do it. Yep, it's been an insane week. It's been an insane couple of weeks, and I got here this morning and was like, oh crap. This has left my brain entirely. So this is what the project is to make this cabochon holder, and so I have it focused down here, is you make a series of basically just lark's head knots around two core cords, like so. And so you make your whole series of lark's head knots, and then we basically just tie them together at the top to make our cabochon holder. But here's the thing about the lark's head knots is normally, so a lark's head knot is a knot that most people know, and most people know how to do it. Most people don't necessarily know what it's called, but it's a very easy knot to do. And like I said, it's one that pretty much everybody knows. So if I were going to make a lark's head around the handle of my scissors, what I would do, or what most of us would do, I realize that some of you out there probably have a little more training in knots than I do. But if I were going to make a lark's head around my scissors, I would take a piece of cord, I would fold it in half, I'd stick it through the handle of my scissors, then I would grab the ends, pull them through, and there you go. That's your lark's head knot. Okay, the problem when you're doing this project is you can't do that because it's one long piece of cord. And so what you have to do is make your lark's heads with one string. Okay, now theoretically this is not that difficult. I'm handicapping myself in a couple of ways here, so I'm going to fix that first, and then we're going to kind of work through me remembering this knot, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to make the project. So the first thing I'm doing is I'm moving my cord over. Wow, that just got so incredibly bright. Okay, I move my cord over a bit because you can even see on camera how stretched out these two notches of my macrame board are. So it wasn't holding my cord tight for me, which was making it a little bit difficult for me to tie my knot. Okay, so I think I've got this back in my head, but let me just, all right, let's just do a couple more, and then we'll actually start, from the proper beginning of the project. Hey people, wow, there's a lot of people there for a lunchtime stream. Nice to see you all out here on the Beading Dream stream. Yeah, so it's been a hectic week. It's been a hectic couple of weeks for me. It's not been a good brain week for me. So we're working through this knot a little bit just for my peace of mind while teaching it before we actually start the project. So have a little patience if you don't mind, and I promise I'll do the whole tools and supplies thing and everything in just a minute. So, but basically, okay, and I guarantee you're gonna see me boff this knot at least once or twice. But basically what we wanna do to make our lark's head knot with a single cord, so what I have here is I've got my cord, and I've got a shorty end and I've got a longy end, because the shorty end you're really only gonna use to start. You don't need it for anything else. Okay, so what we do is we're gonna go over So I'm lark's heading around my left-hand cord. So I'm going to go over that cord, and then I'm going to pull my cord through this little loop this little hole that I've made. And this is the part for me where if I get this part right, the rest of the knot is like gravy. If I boff this, then I'm screwed. So what you should have is you should have this. So your cord is going to be coming over the cord you're knotting around, under it, and then back over itself. And then, like, I got this right. I did it right. Now the rest of this is easy. Then I'm going to go underneath that cord again. That makes a loop. Okay, this loop is this right here. So then I'm just going to pull my cord through and then go through that loop. And the key to this is you have to make sure that you're pulling it tight across your work, because if you try and pull it tight this way, you're going to get something that looks all wackadoo. Okay, so we're going to do this three more times, and then I'm going to back up and start this tutorial like I should have, you know, half an hour ago. What can I say? Some days it just takes the Diet Coke longer to get into my system. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm going to go, now I'm around the right cord, so I'm going to go over this cord, and then I'm going to pass under that cord and through that little hole that I've created. Pull it all the way through. Try not to whack myself with the beads from last night's sale. Okay, so once again, I did this right. So I should have over the cord, under the cord, over itself, and then we're just going to go under the cord again to make that kind of C-shaped loop, and then go through. Okay, so welcome to, you know, the last 30 frantic minutes of my life. I lost half my viewership by admitting that I didn't remember how to do the knot. Oh well, c'est la vie. Okay, so that's the knot. I'm gonna do one more just to make sure that I remember it. Okay, and you all, okay, so when I screw this up in just a few minutes, it's your job to remind me of what I'm supposed to be doing. So I'm gonna go over this cord and then under that cord through the little hole. And then I've got my little C-shaped loop. I'm going to go under that cord again, through that loop, and tighten across my work. Okay, so we have now officially remembered how to do the project. Now we can actually teach how to do the project to, you know, the 5 people who are remaining on this tutorial. Okay, so but this is basically what we're going to do. All right, so let's start from scratch. So let's start from the top. So welcome to the Beading Dream stream on this Thursday lunchtime crafting. Fun 30 minutes remaining of the tutorial. It's actually a pretty quick project, so I think we can still get through it in time. This, of course, is the project, which is our macrame cabochon holder, which is, as I just demonstrated to you, once you get the trick of it, a pretty simple knot to master. So I have no tools and supplies on the board because I was frantically trying to, like, I kid you not, I knew this knot last night, and then this morning it was just like, bye, out my head. It's awesome when that happens on the, it's awesome when that happens on the internet. Okay, so tools and supplies. You're going to want something to anchor your cords to. Now, it doesn't have to be, this is a macrame board. I'm actually using the back of it because I don't really need the inches in this particular instance, but it's just a little foamy board that's got notches that you can anchor your cord in. But you don't have to use a macrame board. You can use a clip, or you can tie your cords to something. It doesn't matter, but what you need is you need to, especially for this particular project, you need to be able to have tension from the bottom and the top of your cords. Like with a lot of macrame projects, you can tie one end to something and then you can create tension when you're knotting, but not so much with this one, because you're basically using these 2 outside cords as, you know, kind of stationary parallel anchor points, and then you're knotting around them. So you really need them to be taut. You are going to need some macrame cord. Now on my prototype, I used a 0.8 millimeter macrame cord, which I definitely like the look of that macrame cord. It's a little bit more delicate around the cabochon. I'm using a 1.5 today, just so it's easier for you all to see what I'm doing with the knot. And you're going to need about, and I don't even remember how much I said online of this, but you're going to need a significant amount of this cord in order to accomplish the project. So you're gonna need basically double a necklace length. Okay, so these that are going to be your necklace strands are also the two sides of the core of your cord. And then you also need a significant amount to do your knot work. So I think online I said probably something to the effect of about, you know, 3 to 4 foot pieces for the actual core and the necklace part of your piece, and then probably another solid 5 or 6 feet for knotting. Now this is excessive. This is panic length, okay? Because seriously, when I got here this morning, after fighting construction, check engine light is back on in my car, and I am on fumes in my gas tank. Great morning. I got here and I was just like, oh my God, must practice. Okay, so yeah, this is panic length of cord. This is way more cord than I probably need. But at the same time, when you're doing a macrame project, it's never a bad idea to actually have more than you need. Okay, so this is a good trick for frogging a macrame project like this. So all those knots that I did, instead of having to untie each and every one of them, all I did was I pulled the core out, and then the whole thing just unravels. So I'm gonna say I've got, you know, 4 feet and I've got 6 feet. So I got 10 feet of cord here that I'm working with. I may be vastly overestimating, but we're gonna go with it. You're going to need something to wrap. So I've got this pretty Picasso Jasper Cabochon, but really this will work for anything. Regular shaped, irregular shaped, there's a whole lot of possibilities for this particular technique, especially when you take into account that, you know, varying the thickness of the cord, varying the width of your core, you know, and having your knot strung in between can really give you a lot of facility for doing a lot of cool stuff with this. I'm also at some point gonna need to run and snag a bead that will work for this position here. This one is a hard one because you got to be able to fit 4 of your cords through that bead. So I will get that at the end of the tutorial. As far as tools go, besides your macrame board, you're going to want a lighter, and you're going to need some kind of scissors, and that's pretty much it. So I'm going to start by setting up my 2 core cords. Now, this is not a project where this is going to move on the core, okay? So you got to start it essentially in the right place, which means, you know, essentially the middle of my lengths of cord is here in the bottom middle of my cabochon. So where I'm going to start my wrapping is going to be this distance away from center. So if I'm just going to estimate on my Picasso Jasper here, it's about 1.5 inches. So I'm going to take my 2 cords and I'm going to find the middle. Okay, middle is here. And then I'm going to go about 1.5 inches back from that. And yes, I'm just kind of eyeballing at the moment. And that is what I'm going to put here at the top of my macrame board. And like I said at the very beginning of when I finally got online, you want to make sure that your macrame board is holding your cords tightly. And that is a thing about this tool, is the notches do get stretched out with use. And so at some point it does become beneficial to move off center, or even you can even use the sides, like, you know, just whatever is going to keep, you want good tension on your cord. Okay, so now we're going to start this again from scratch. See if I can do it. Okay, so I'm starting over the right hand cord. And once again, I'm going to have a short end and a long end. It's an Amy. Hi, Smee. Yay. Nice to see you out there. I was VV late getting on today because I forgot how to do the tutorial. I have since remembered. So you're going to have a short end and a long end of your cord. So I'm not, when I say that, I'm not kidding. Like, I have my cord, right? I have this one. Oh my gosh, the Carols don't even know about decorating. They're gonna find out when I get off stream, but they don't even know about decorating yet. So I have a short end. This is about 6 or 8 inches, and then I've got the whole rest of my cord here. Because your first knot, you know, all you're going to ever use this other piece of cord for is just to end off. All right, so I'm going to go over, under, the first one is the weirdest. Okay, so that's over, under, and pull it through. Very. Where are you, End? The back seat was looking at you like you were nuts. Okay. You can cheat on the first one. So we're gonna just do that. Except I'll do it this way. And this. There we go. Hey, look. It's my first lark's head knot. Yes, I cheated. No, I really don't care. It's that day. Okay, so your first lark's head knot is easy. You just do it like you normally would. Now, you want to knot with the long end. So the cool thing about this is it doesn't, you can flip it. You can go either direction because my lark's head, my short end is actually on this side. So I'm just gonna flip it over and there we go. Okay, so now I can actually conceptualize this a little bit better. So we're gonna go over the cord. We're gonna fix our prop. All right, we're gonna go, so now I'm knotting around the right hand cord. Over the cord, under the cord and through this little hole. For some reason, for the first knot, I just could not, my brain would not process that. All right, then I've got my little C-shaped curve here. It kind of looks like a bass clef to me. Oh Lord. Asa, let us know what your therapist says about decorating. All right, and then we're gonna go under and through. Y'all are like, good Lord, what is she doing? Yeah, see, something on that is not right. Let's just go back and try that again. All right, over, under, through. Ha! Over, under, through. Over, under, through, under, over, through. You know, under, over, through, over, under, through. It sounds like it's the same thing, but really it's not. Okay, so let's try that una mas, but correctly this time. So, over, under, and through. And then under, come here, under, over, through, and pull it tight. All right, stream, we're gonna say this all together this time. We're gonna go over, then under, and through, and then under, over, and through. And we've got it! Yay! So yeah, so it's the reversal that has a tendency to make my brain stick. It's that, because I want to, as you just saw, I want to repeat, not reverse. And so, oh yay, jigs are fun. Jigs are definitely fun. I will say that the little rubber bits that go in the bottom of the pegs to hold them in are invaluable. Don't try and cheat and not use them, as the needles have pegs falling out all over. Okay, so now let's continue on. All right, so we have over, so again, that's over the cord that you're knotting around, under the the cord that you're knotting around and through the hole. Then under the cord that you're knotting around, over the cord that you're knotting around, and through the hole. So over, under, through, over, through. I also learned an interesting thing in my frantic search for a video on this this morning, which is that a lark's head is also called a cow hitch, which I did not know. Okay, so again, over, under, and pull through. And pull all the way through, the whole thing. All right, over, under, through, then under, over, through. And that, ladies, gentlemen, and denizens of the internet, is how you make a lark's head knot with only one piece of string. And it only took me 51 minutes to get there, folks. You know, not going down in, you know, legend as one of my best tutorials, but hey, we did get there in the end. So now we just continue. So alternating sides, over, under, through, and then under, over, through. So once you get the pattern, at least for me, I start being a little bit more three-dimensional with the way I use my fingers, which doesn't, that is not going to help you learn the, that is not going to help you learn the knot, but what it is going to help you do is execute the knot more quickly once you do know it. So I'm going to do it a couple times the way that I do it, then I'll go back and I'll show, again, this step-by-step way. But, so we've got over, under, through. My hands don't dance like Schmother, and then, yes, we had the return of the Heather dance last night, and then under, over, through. So basically what I've got here is I've lifted this up, I've actually reached through with my other hand, and then I'm pulling that all the way through. So rather than having to go through and find my end every time, I can actually just grab the piece of my cord that's closest to me to pull through. And that makes the whole process a lot faster. But once again, if you don't know the knot, it also makes it a whole lot more, you know, confusing. All right, so I'm going to do one more this way, and then I'll go back to step by step. So that's over, under, through, and then under, over, through. Looks like that. So for those who are like, what the actual heck are you doing, person? Again, in step-by-step form, this cord is my working cord. These cords are my core cords. I'm knotting around my left one. I go over my left cord with my working cord. Then I take my working cord under my left cord and through this little hole that's created here, not this one here. All right, you want to go through the gap that is created when you go over this cord. All right, when you go over the left-hand cord, you pull that through. Then, so that's one half of your cow hitch or your lark's head. Then you're going to take that same working cord, we're using the same core cord, you're going to go under it with your working cord, and that makes, again, that little C-shaped loop. And then you're going to take your end over your core cord and through. And that's the under, over, through. Again. Over. Under, through. So at this point you should have something that looks like that right there. And then under, over, and through. And the funny thing about this is if I had just 2 weeks ago when I was making the prototype written myself a note with the words over, under, through, under, over, through on it, I would have had a much easier time this morning. Though, to be fair, the sewer construction on Northwest Highway was not a pleasant surprise on my commute this morning. Hillcrest and Northwest Highway. What a great place to have lanes blocked and the intersection intermittently closed. All right, so over, under, through. And under, over, through. Yay! Okay, so this is what happens when you yank on this. So every once in a while, you're going to have to retighten that in your macrame board. Once again, you don't have to use a macrame board for this. You can use a clip, a nail. You really have to have tension from the top and the bottom on both of your pieces of cord. This is the under, over, through. So see, once you finally get there, it's not that complicated. It's just, you know, getting there in this instance is not half the fun. Getting there is, you know, all of the stress and none of the fun. But thankfully, once you get there, then the fun happens. Because then you can make a cool holder that will hold almost anything. So I need to make this long enough to wrap around my cabochon, which is going to take me a minute. But less time now that I actually, you know what I'm doing than before when I did. So there's that. Now, here's another problem that did happen to me when I was making my prototype, which is I evened out my cord. Instead of leaving a short piece and a long piece, I started right in the middle, and so I ran out of cord before I had created enough to wrap my cabochon. This is where the fact that we can flip this over really works in our favor. Literally all I did was flip the piece over and started knotting from the other side. So, you know, if I can do nothing else on this tutorial, I can give you the benefit of all of my errors and mistakes along the way for this particular project. This is something I've been wanting to execute for a while, and just had never gotten around to sort of sitting down and figuring it out. And once again, the moral of the story apparently is once you figure it out, write notes. Yes, I realize that that is pretty, you know, logical, but this is a creative stream, not a logical stream necessarily. So we don't always function with the logic that other humans do. Again, so over, that's the over that cord. Under, through. You know, Lori, I think at this point, like, it's in there now. I don't think it's ever going anywhere. It's like trauma, you know, imprinted at this point. Under, over, through. And really all I need, pattern is really big for me on knot. So, you know, all I really needed was that over, under, over, through note, and I'm fine. Now I realize not everybody works like that. Also, so here's a question for this stream. So I will admit that I did watch some YouTube tutorials on this, and all of them had no talking, no words, just either silence or music. And I found it, like, I like to hear explanation of what's going on, and I am interested to hear my stream viewers' perspective on that, of is it better when I talk you through it, or would you rather I just shut up and do it?
No.
Okay, so the votes from behind me are for narration, but there are 8 of you out there, and I know at least 3 of you are willing to talk in the chat. So it's a legitimate question. Like, I honestly am, and then the other, you know, begs the question of, well, why don't they talk? Like, because once again, if I had heard what I'm saying, over, under, through, under, over, through, then, you know, once again, I would have been much less panicked and online a solid 20 minutes earlier. Okay. All right, so we have 2 votes for explanation. It's gonna get a little noisy in the background because the store is opening since I am running a wee bit late, but we are definitely, we're getting there. We're almost there. All right, so over, under, through. Hey, RH Avatar. Thank you, Janice. Okay, so we have another vote for narration. So then I guess the question is, why aren't there more how-to videos out there with narration? Which is definitely not a question that I can answer. It's just, it's an interesting, since every vote has been for narration from you guys. It's interesting that there are not so many. Sharon also appreciates explanation. Awesome, thank you guys. That's really actually super helpful feedback. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm just trying to keep my tension relatively even here so that I don't have a lot of, like, you know, in and out with my little cabochon holder here. All right. Sorry, y'all, this is why I usually try to finish up by 1. I will say I think that this tutorial maybe is a little bit cursed because last week was the air conditioning, this week was the sewer construction and the, you know, episode of amnesia. So interesting, a lot of people can't talk and do stuff at the same time. Huh, you know, it didn't even occur to me that that was a skill. Which I'm not actually trying, I'm not being disingenuous here, like I'm not actually trying to be sarcastic about that. Is, I guess I've been a oh, that's a non-complimentary. Yeah, I mean, I'm not knocking anybody's style of teaching. Everyone's doing the best that they can, but it's just interesting. I guess it comes maybe from teaching dance or just from dancing, of talking and doing things at the same time was definitely something that I've been doing for most of my life. But that's an interesting perspective, so thank you. Okay, so we are almost done with this. Did you manage to avoid the sewer construction? Good.
I did.
Heather and I come from the same side of town to get to work, and so whilst I was sitting in the standstill traffic, I texted her, "Don't go this way today. Go a different way to work." Okay, I think we're probably good. So I'm going to pull this off and we're going to see. So we're just going to wrap this around. Okay, so for the sake of time, I'm going to now cheat. I'm going to go get a smaller cabochon. I'll be right back. Just because this is enough for me to demo how to finish it, so I grabbed a smaller cabochon because it wasn't quite big enough to go around. Yes, I know. Okay, so that's a good, Lori made a good point, is if you need a, okay, so this is a good size for this little cabochon here, so we're gonna go with that. Lori did make a good point. If you just need a refresher, and you're not trying to learn a skill for the first time, sometimes just watching a video with no talking is helpful because you're not distracted by all the talking, and you can also just kind of fast forward to what you need. But yeah, if you're trying to learn something for the first time, it's definitely, I think, helpful to have explanation. Okay, so let's finish this baby up. All right, so I have my core chords. Okay, those are the 2 parallel ones, and I have my working chord here. Okay, so I'm literally just gonna finish off my working chord and burn it. Also, my panic chord cutting, I've got a solid 3 feet more than I needed, so you definitely do not need 6 feet of cord for a cabochon this size or cabochon this size. So you can revise that estimate down to about 4 feet. So Lori can change your notes on that. So I'm going to just tie this cord off around the core cord that I would be knotting around next. So I'm just going to do a half hitch around there. So literally I'm just taking my cord around this and then I'm going to pull it through. I'm going to tighten it up like so, and then we are going to finish it with the lighter. This is one reason why I love the Chinese knotting cords, is it's really easy to finish. So we're just going to trim that short. Again, it's our extra. And just put your lighter next to the cord, and you'll see my cord's going to start melting. Once it gets close to your knot, just smash it with the side of your lighter. And there, that's finished. So I'm tying off, Lori, on the side that would have been the next knot. So no, I'm tying off on the opposite side. And it's the end of my knots just loosened up a little bit. So I'm going to tighten this up. So yeah, so I'm tying off on the cord across, the cord that if I were going to continue with this, that would be the cord for my next, the cord around which I would do my next knot. So this knot is on the cord that's currently on the left, so I'm going to tie off on the cord on the right. So we're just going to go, again, half hitch around and through. Not a problem. All right, there we go. And then once again, we're just going to trim that off. And all right, and then once it melts down, just smash it against your cord. So this is completely separate. Like this whole construction that's holding your cabochon, it's not actually anchored onto your core cords at all. It's literally, you know, a really complicated, you know, double tube construction that's just holding them together. And once again, that's it. That is the, and I know it's 1:08, so I should wrap this up so I can help my staff with all the people that just walked in the door. But this is something I will say about macrame. A lot of the things like the macrame closures, the cabochon holders like this, once you figure out that it's not all the same piece of string, figuring out how to do it becomes a whole lot easier. Okay, so now I'm going to pop my little cabochon in here, and then I am literally, the finish of this is so easy. I'm going to take these two in front and tie them together, and then I'm going to take the two in back and tie them together. And when I said easy, I really meant simple, because it's not necessarily easy, because you feel like you need 3 hands. But what I like to do is just take one of those sets and tie them together. I will tie it in a knot so it'll hold itself, but I'm not going to crank it down quite yet in case I need to untie it. So again, these are the two cords, or the two ends of the same cord. They're not 2 cords. Thank you. Feedback is always good. So, this is the 2 sides of this same cord. Okay, so those are the 2 that I tied together. Now I'm going to go ahead and drop my cabochon in, and then I'm going to take the 2 in the back. So once again, these are 2 sides of the same cord. Okay, so I'm not crossing at all with this, and I'm going to tie these together, and I'm just tying them together in a square-ish knot. So we're going to do right over left. Deet. Right over left. That noise had absolutely there was no reason for that noise other than I almost dropped my project. All right.
It was an awesome noise.
Well, thank you. Okay, so on this side, I want to go ahead and I do want to pull that nice and tight because I want to get some good tension on there, because the last thing you want is for your cabochon to fall out. So right over left, and then left over right. Pull nice and tight. So there's a nice neat little square knot there. Now I can go back to the front, which is a messy ass little granny knot right there, and untie that and retie it. So it's just, I mean, I could have clipped it together with a bead stopper, just really anything, you know, to hold it. Yeah, I know. It's and that's another thing I like about the Chinese knotting cord is it's got just a little bit of spring, a little bit of stretch to it, and you can use that, and that is what keeps everything really nice and secure. So now I'm back on the front, and I'm going to tie a really tight knot. So once again, right over left. I'm going to tie a good square knot. Pull tight. There we go. And so this is what makes it secure, is the pulling tight here. And then left over right. Pull tight. And there you go. All right. That baby is in there. Like it is not going anywhere. And the cool thing is also, you know, just like any proper setting, you haven't glued anything to your stone. You haven't permanently altered your stone in any way. So if you wanted to pop this out and do something else with it, you could. Okay, so this is that part where I told you I was going to run away for a second, go find a bead. So BRB.
Maybe a loin?
Right. Okay, I'm back. Okay, so hopefully, I think this bead will work. All right, so the bead part of this, here's my sample, is just decoration, okay? And it also helps to hide, you know, this kind of sort of unattractive bit here. Now, something else cool that I have seen done with this is you can, instead of making this a necklace as it is, you can actually now take this and you can start square knotting around these two pieces, and you can actually make it into a bail. So instead of making a necklace, you actually are making a pendant that you can put on anything, which is pretty cool. Which, of course, if I had a proper clamp to secure that, that would be helpful, because tension is key when you're doing macrame. But if I just get enough of this knotwork started to show you, so you can actually take and start square knotting this until you have enough that you can flip it over, bind it down, and then make a bail. So if you don't want to make a whole cord necklace, you don't have to. You can make a cord pendant and put it on whatever you want. But we are going to go ahead and just finish this out into a pretty easy peasy little necklace by, oh, it's under my macrame board. All right, by sticking all of the ends through this bead. The easiest way to do that is to just burn the ends. The Chinese knotting cord has a tendency to kind of fuzz out at the end, so burning it just helps to get it through your bead. And they did fit, so hooray for that. And I'm just going to pull that all the way down so that it's sitting on top of my pendant, and then I'm just going to tie all of these cords into an overhand knot to hold my bead in place. And when you're tying multiple cords like this, if you get something like this where your tension's not even, just gently pull on each cord until you get the ones that are loose there to tighten up. All right, and this would actually, I did not give myself nearly enough cord for this, but I feel like this would actually be really cool if I put a couple of beads on top of it. But the last thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and throw a clasp on here. Of course, do I have the parts for that? No, I don't. Be right back one more time. You guys can hang with Ziggy for a sec. Okay, so for those of you who are still hanging in with me, we're just going to put the clasp on and then call it done for today. So I'm going to trim my cords to length, and I'm going to go with 16 inches, so that's going to be right there. Just trim those all the way across. And then I'm just going to put my cords on with a cord end. So this is pretty simple. Can I borrow a chain nose pliers?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So this is a cord end. Thank you, you're the best. Cord ends are used oftentimes for leather, but you can use them pretty much for anything that you can literally stick into them. So I'm going to take my two cords, I'm going to lay them in my cord end like so, and then I'm just going to use the chain nose pliers to press down my cord end. Now when you're doing this, you're going to press down one side of your cord end, and then you're going to press down the other side, and then smash the whole thing. Okay, repeat on the other end of your necklace. And if you're having trouble holding it, you can actually kind of like bump it out a little bit and use your fingernail to pinch it down. And just remember, one end, or one side, then the other side, then smash the whole thing. And then I just have a lobster claw clasp that I'm going to put on with a jump ring. So I'm just going to twist my jump ring open like so, drop that onto my cord end, drop my clasp on, close it up, and then you actually, if you really want to cheat, you can totally clip this just into the other side of your cord end, which I have seen done. If you want to be a little bit fancier with it, you're just going to take another jump ring and attach a soldered ring to it. So you just need a receptacle that's closed, hence the soldered ring, for your clasp to clasp into. So we have that, and there we go. So, not the most hiccup-free beading dream stream ever, but hey, guess what? We did it. We actually did successfully complete the macrame cabochon holder necklace on stream. So thank you all so much, everyone who's still hanging out here with me, all four of you. I really appreciate your patience, and hopefully you did actually learn something. I keep forgetting that I tied this onto my scissors as a demo. So hopefully you did actually learn something fun and exciting on the tutorial today, while hopefully laughing at me and all of my shenanigans. So for anybody out there who doesn't know me, I'm Allison from Beading Dreams in Dallas, Texas. We are an actual brick and mortar retail bead store, and we are here on Lovers Lane, open for business Monday through Saturday from 1 to 6. So we are here to feed your need to bead 6 days a week. Of course, for my non-locals, you can find us on this channel, twitch.tv/Beading Dream, 5 times a week with complimentary tutorials. We're here Wednesday through Saturday at 6 p.m. Central Time, plus Thursdays at noon, live merchandise sales every Wednesday and Saturday at 7:30 p.m. That means we'll be back on this channel at 6 p.m. tonight with our Torch Thursday project. That's our whirligig earrings. So again, thanks everyone for hanging out, for being patient, and hopefully for having a good time with me here today. I'll see you all back on this channel, twitch.tv/Beading Dream tonight at 6 p.m.